Hi, everyone, and thanks for joining us today to talk about intelligent integration. My name is Emily Hackman, and in just a few minutes, I'll be introducing Michael Glazer, our Director of Technology Solutions. He'll be walking us through the presentation today. I'm just going to give it 1 or 2 minutes to let some more folks dial in, so just hold on with us for just a few minutes. All right, thanks so much for joining us today. I am recording this, so if you need to drop early or you'd like to share it with a colleague, we will make sure that you get the recording within the next 24 hours. So without further ado, let's talk about the agenda for today. So we're going to be defining intelligent integration. When Astea says that, what do we mean by that? We're going to talk about some use cases. What are the business problems? What are the challenges that our low-code or no-code toolkit can help you solve? And then we're going to get into the actual nuts and bolts of it. We're going to show you what we call our no-code or our low-code integration toolkit. That's part of our latest version of our Alliance Enterprise platform. And then Michael's going to switch to do a live demonstration so you can see how he actually builds these flows throughout that toolkit. And if you have any questions, please feel free to save them towards the end, and we'll try to address as many as possible. So without further ado, I'll turn it over to Michael.
All right, thank you, Emily. Good morning, everyone, and welcome. So let's just go ahead and launch into this. Let's talk about intelligent integration. And the way I personally view integration is a multi-layered kind of a concept or approach here. I think the first layer to really talk about is a nuts and bolts software effort in terms of taking multiple applications and creating a pipeline between these applications that data can flow. Again, this is that down and dirty IT type software effort that's needed to make this pipeline or this connection. The next level, or this layer above that, is determining the data set that you want to flow through this pipeline. Where is master data sourced from? Where are all the destinations for each of these master data elements? How do they flow? Where do they go? Are these flows automatic versus needing a manual intervention from a human? Again, to me, the goal is to accomplish a pipeline connection and allow the data that you need as a business user to flow seamlessly and automatically. Again, across all types of different, software platforms here, CRM, field service management, some of the traditional things like ERP and HR, and get a little bit more modern, cutting-edge view on things from an IoT platform standpoint. When I think about this, again, this concept of intelligent integration, it really comes down to what problem is this concept really solving for you as a business? And again, I'm going to break it down into two things. It's all about time and money to us all, right? When data is entered, and again, lots of data today is still entered in a manual fashion. It's, again, whether it's in an office or even in the field, but it's entered manually. How do you resolve data entry errors, and how do you validate this data? The goal is to do that one time. If you think about, again, platforms that are siloed and you're entering data in multiple places and error checking it multiple times, there's no cohesion. In a kind of an ideal connected and an integrated world, you want to be able to enter the data one time, error check it one time, and if need be, correct it one time, and have that corrected information now propagate out to all the platforms and all the users that need to take advantage of it. You want to think about things in terms of reducing time. One of the examples here that I put in is around this concept of a swivel chair syndrome. You want to make sure that for your employees, your dispatchers as an example, all the information that they need to be able to respond to customers in a prompt, in a timely, in a complete manner is at their fingertips. If your employees have to look in one screen or one computer system for an ERP piece of information, and then kind of again move their eyes, go to a different screen and take a look at things in a field service management platform or even a CRM platform, This is impacting your customers, again, in the satisfaction standpoint, but you want to think about things in terms of empowering an employee to be able to quickly respond to that customer. That concept to me of employee empowerment then extends to this last large bullet in terms of empowering your employee not just to respond to customers in a timely fashion, but also be able to make educated decisions in terms of them, being able to do these things themselves and not require an escalation chain. Again, the concept is provide your employees all the information that they need at their fingertips to make quick and effective decisions to impact your customers, obviously saving time and money in the process. What we put in here was just a quick, kind of a couple of different market surveys. I don't want to get wrapped around the axle in terms of the specific dates or even the specific dollar amounts. But to me, these different reports start to lend a validity to the notion that not just, small organizations or one or two organizations, but a mix of organizations, and in fact, a tremendous amount of money is being invested in integrating enterprise applications. Again, whether you want to pick any particular number and talk about it, each one of these different market reports gives a tremendous growth number over a defined period of time. The point is, lots of money is being spent integrating enterprise applications. So it's a serious need in this particular area.
Thanks, Mark. I wanted to jump in here. We hosted a webinar a few weeks back featuring one of our customers in the IT services space. Their name is NSC Global, and one of the things that NSC Global was talking about was the ability to build integrations from our Alliance FSM platform into some of their other systems like CRM systems. For them, they also have an integration to the ADP's Work Market, which is an online contingent portal, because they are very heavy users of the short-term labor resources because of their geographic expansion. So I just wanted to pull this out here. This is, going back to what Michael was saying about how important integration is. It's part of their key philosophy, and it's one of the reasons why they chose our platform, is because it gives them these capabilities, and then they're starting to use this new low-code toolkit that Michael's going to show you later to build even more integrations out to different systems. So I just wanted to bring this up here. If you missed that webinar, definitely check it out on our website.
Thank you, Emily. So let's talk about this concept of intelligent integration and really where some of the rubber hits the road in my mind, and being able to utilize the broad toolkit within the Astea Alliance product to really empower integrations. And as I talk through this, again, a lot of my focus is going to be around using the toolkit for integrations. But I also want you to keep in mind, I'll try and remember this a little bit particularly when I get to talk about the process flows. Some of the tools within the toolkit, while they are very empowering from an integration standpoint, they can also be incredibly useful to do other things in terms of automating workflows, as an example. So again, keep this in mind, again, to be able to use these building blocks in our toolkit that really do many things across your business. So to that end, what I've got here is a very high-level architecture picture of our toolkit. And I think there's a couple of key takeaways, and really they're the first two bullets here. One of the big things that the toolkit allows you to do is to separate the implementation, as I said about intelligent integration in terms of being a multi-layered approach. You really can, once you've got that basic pipeline created between your applications, you can remove the need for your technical resources to be involved anymore. You can really put the power of automating a workflow and controlling the data flow across your organization into the hands of your business process users. To me, I think that's a very powerful thing for an organization. You, as a customer, really have full control. You don't want to have to continue to come back to us at Astea. You are empowered, again, as a customer, to manage all of these details from a non-technical standpoint. Okay, so when I think of our toolkit, it's a pretty broad set of different building blocks. Okay, there are some very traditional import-export functionality. We have a number of out-of-the-box connectors that I'll talk, again, these pieces I'll talk about in a little bit more detail in a few moments. Out-of-the-box connectors that allow you to very quickly get operational, talking to some very traditional third-party applications. We do expose every element within Alliance, both inbound and outbound, through a full set of web services. Again, you can utilize as well. The heart of really where all this ties together is what we refer to as a process flow engine, graphical process flow engine, as a matter of fact. And I'll demonstrate this again in a couple of slides. This is really the heart of allowing you as a customer to take full control and automate things like workflows and integrations. So the next one. So let me quickly hit a couple of highlights for some of these components that I've talked about. And again, I'll show them in a little bit more detail in a couple of minutes in a demonstration. One of the things we allow you to do, and it's the tool we refer to it as is our customizer. The name's a little off, but what it empowers you to do is to modify the GUI screens that your users, both back office, mobile, and customer users see. And at its core, it's allowing you to add and delete data elements from the Alliance database. So if you think about that, again, the example we'll run through in a little while from the demo is there's a data element missing somewhere in the platform. Again, there's hundreds and hundreds of data elements. But let's just imagine for your business there's something missing. It is a few clicks. You've added not just to the GUI, but extends the database. And you start to think about the empowerment that this can offer you to customize the application for your business needs, again, with no IT skill set. It really can be a powerful thing. In addition to doing that for your back office users, again, streamline things for your mobile and even easily remove things and add things in for your customers to be able to access data within the application. Okay, again, very traditional flat file imports, and I'm not going to spend a lot of time really talking about this. This is, again, you have the ability to create templates and import or export data that can be, again, from a response standpoint, automated through using the process flow engine. I hit briefly on this a few slides ago. So what we have the ability here is to leverage for some very common business applications. I've listed two of them here. We have quite a few more that we support within the Alliance application. This is Microsoft Dynamics and Oracle's JDE product. It's very close to being a drag and drop connector. And a connector typically is a pair of adapters and a piece of middleware in the middle that you can just add into Alliance, quickly get connected to your third-party application for these common business applications. The one thing to also keep in mind is that while the connector is out of the box, I really view it as a solid jumpstart platform. You have the ability as a customer, again, to utilize process flows and go in and modify directions of data, add in new transactional elements, all very simply. One of the things that I do want to point out in terms of the connectors, we at Astea, when we built these connectors, particularly the adapter here on the Astea side, we use process flows as an integral part of that adapter creation. So the point that I want you to take away is not only are we developing a toolkit for our customers to utilize, but the toolkit is incredibly powerful that we utilize it as well. So again, it's used in quite a few places within the application. I'm not going to harp on this for very long, again, just to mention that, as I said on the architecture slide, we do have a full set of web services supporting a couple of different interfaces that you can get a lot more creative and definitely a little bit more technical in terms of your integrations that I want to get to here today. But again, full power to take advantage of these tools. I'm going to talk about this. I'm not going to demonstrate this today. We have a number of customers that also use a CTI framework, a telephony framework, to integrate to their PBX. And the nice thing about this is, again, that you can produce to your dispatchers, particularly your back office folks, a number of different notifications and screen displays, alerts, these kinds of messages based on incoming calls. You can also tie this into process flows and, again, do other workflow automations as you need to for your business. So I've mentioned it a whole bunch of times. This is just a quick picture of one of our process flows that are in Alliance. This happens to be one of the dynamic CRM product center particular flows. And again, I'll demonstrate this a little bit more detail in a few minutes, but you have here just a very high level piece of I'm going to use the term Visio-like, it's a drag and drop, very simple to create a workflow. In this case, again, and some controlled data that I've put on the screen here as well. The real key here is it allows you to do practically everything within the platform. You can create, modify existing integrations. You can go in and automate a number of your own workflows and customize things that fit your particular business. And again, this last thing here is around being able to create different alerts and service escalations for your, again, all in a very automated fashion within your business. Okay, so that's just a very quick walkthrough at a high level of a number of the tools. So this is the integration demo I'm going to try and walk through today. So really what I've done here is try and separate a number of different platforms out. So the scenario is that I've got an IoT device in the field. And, I'm going to install it to a particular mixer at a facility that I've created. So this IoT device is going to detect a failure. And what we're going to do is I'm going to simulate a connection to an IoT platform and use that to demonstrate a number of the import tools. And within Alliance, we're going to talk about this customizer tool to be able to alter the GUI. I'm going to add a new element to the database and create a process flow that actually, when I import this data, automatically generates a new service order. In addition to generating the new service order, I have the ability to notify both users internally that are looking at Alliance through a pop-up message, but we're going to push a payload out to, again, a kind of a simulated ERP platform. And I'm going to talk a little bit about how we then see these notifications as well via email. Okay, so let me pop over here to Alliance. Let me open up one more thing as well. We'll talk about this particular text file. All right, there we go. So let's walk through the particular application and all the different pieces that I have. So as I said, I've created essentially a site. And again, I've given it kind of a silly name, but think of this as a physical facility that I've created for demonstration purposes. I've then gone ahead and installed an item at this particular site. I've given it a serial number, again, just for demonstration purposes, and I've picked a very large industrial or commercial scale bakery mixer that I think we can all kind of get our heads around. It's almost lunchtime anyway, so I'm starting to get a little hungry. So now I'm focused on that. So if I think about this mixer, okay, this is where my IoT device is actually embedded in this particular mixer. So when I said I'm going to use flat files and the import tools to really simulate this communication from the mixer back into an IoT platform or even directly into Alliance, the way I'm going to do that is through this small piece of text file here. So I have, again, really only 3 fields. This is a tabular delimited text file. Again, nothing fancy, nothing elaborate. It's very simple. I've got a customer site. I've got this device ID that I've created that corresponds to the serial number of the mixer that I've installed. And I'm going to, again, just very simply report an IoT error code. Again, if you conceptually think about this, I could have hundreds of additional fields here. But again, for demonstration purposes, I'm going to try and keep it on the simple side. So the first thing I want to do is use our import wizard tool, or import template wizard tool. What a template does is, again, very traditional. It allows me to create a framework for things like import, for example, a framework for repetitive tasks. So in the case if I wanted to, again, bring things in on a regular basis, I could without recreating any of this particular work. So let's give this particular template name. Let's give it a name, just integration demonstration. We'll walk through all the steps of being able to create this. Again, I got a lot of flexibility here in terms of different file types, et cetera, that I can use. But as I said, it's a tabular-based text file. So I'll open up my example so I can map the individual fields. I get, again, a tremendous amount of power here within Alliance in terms of being able to pick and choose every single element that I want to map to. Okay. I do remember, I did forget one thing. I told you what we were going to do was create a unique field with our customizer tool. So let me rewind for a quick second and actually do that. So I'm going to come out here in the service order module. So if I conceptually think about how I want to notify a field technician, I want to make sure that a field technician receives this error code. Okay? So I give this a second to open up. Seems I'm having some Wi-Fi problems today. Okay, so this is, again, a service order and all the various fields that out of the box exist as a service order within Alliance. So if I think about the problem details here, there is no field titled IoT error code. Okay, this doesn't exist. So what I want to do is, how do I add that? So here in Alliance, we're going to open up this customizer tool. Again, one thing I want to mention is that not all users have access to this tool. It is controlled by access rights. So within an organization, you can limit this tool again to a very small set, if you want, of process owners, as opposed to everyone within the organization. So I'm going to add this field right below here. So I select the field. We'll come back, and I'm going to tell it, I want to create a new field. And let's give this a name. Let's call it demonstration IoT error. Yeah, I can give it any name I want. It's got a lot of flexibility in terms of selecting field types, these kinds of things. I'm going to keep it very simple, and it's just a single line of text. So I've created that, and then let's go back out and save that. We'll give it a second to update the database. And it does appear I'm still having some Wi-Fi problems today. Okay, there we go, and we'll let it continue to finish updating the database. So let's come back to this, just to make sure that I reinitialize this correctly. Sort of. There we go. Okay, so what I have here is within the service order area, I have all the data elements. So now we're going to go back into that very traditional import template kind of a concept and map these fields together. All right. So I've got a little cheat sheet, so I happen to know what all of our fields are called. So let's just map these very quickly. I know that here within Alliance, this particular field is my customer site. And I know that I'm going to map the serial number field to my device ID. Let's see if I scroll down and find that. There's my ID. And I also know that the field we created a moment ago, I can come back, take a look at that name. I have to reinitialize this, but it's demonstration IoT error. I know that's actually got a beginning tag to it, CST. And that is not here for some reason. So let's pick a slightly different field. This is IoT error code. Let's pick this one. I had played with this earlier, so let's go ahead and pick that. So again, very simple for mapping these elements together. All right, so I'm going to save this as a template for now. Very simple to do that. All right. What I'm going to do is create, again, if I start to think ahead, so that's really the import side, bringing data into Alliance. Now, if I start to think about how am I going to use this data on the outbound side, one of the things I want to do is create an outbound message. This is if you think back to the slide deck, this will be the message that we send to the CRM platform. So again, I'm going to pick something. From a name standpoint, I'm going to cheat. I'm going to give it the same name, use the name as the description and the alias. And I know that this is, again, paying attention to, we're going to pull data from the service order area of the application. Oops, meant to select system. I've got a lot of flexibility here again. Again, I'm only focusing on a very small subset of the data. So what I can do is I want to go in and create this particular outbound message. And I've got, again, thinking about this as a non-business, or excuse me, as a non-technical user standpoint, I have every data element exposed to me here within the application. For what I'm going to do from a demonstration standpoint is I'm simply going to pick, excuse me, this outbound message to an ERP platform. I'm going to pick the customer ID, and I'm going to pick the open date, if I could read, of this particular service order. I've saved it. I'm going to do a couple boxes to make sure that I'm not catching any things that are unmodified. That's it. It's as simple as that. Okay. As I've now created the XML structure that will be dispatched to an outbound message queue off to a CRM platform. I didn't write any code. Okay. We can dive into and take a look at that particular schema. I'm not going to, because that's not my intention here, is talking about low and no code, but I can do that. Again, without writing any code, I've been able to create this outbound message. So the next thing I want to do is now, kind of as I've alluded to before, I want to talk about the meat, the heart of this particular tool. So let's go in and actually create a process flow that's going to run all of this. So again, I'm going to create a process flow titled Integration Demo. I'm going to cheat and not get too fancy with things. We'll pay attention to service orders. Again, every element, every activity here within Alliance can be exposed to a process flow. And what I'm going to do is pick an event to trigger this on. And it's really when I do something that creates a new service order will be the trigger to this particular process flow. And we'll save this and continue. And now you're going to see in a second, this is the Visio-like graphical piece of the engine. And again, so what I get here, underlying this, is exactly what I just created. I'm running this on service orders. Whenever I create a service order, I have the ability to set up, do I just want this, this flow, this workflow automation tool to run once? Do I only want it to be certain time frames? If you think about things, you only want certain things to run on a Sunday night. So a new report or a level of batch processing off to your ERP platform is only done at 2 a.m. Again, a lot of flexibility here to be able to empower you to do those kinds of things. So let's create this. So what I want to do, again, I'm going to try and keep it simple. So I want, whenever my true condition occurs, so whenever I've created a new service order, I want to run this. And what I have the ability to now do is add a number of actions. So one of the actions that I'm going to do is send an email. So let's add this. So I'm going to send, so when I've created a new service order, I'm going to send myself an email. And again, I've got flexibility here in terms of a subject line, new service order created. And what I'm going to do is limit it to only myself. Okay, I'm not interested in sending broadcast emails across the organization, just to me. Let's do another one. The next action I want to do is I want to display a pop-up. Okay, so this is the active messaging system that if you envision it, you'll see it in a minute. As a back office user, I'm sitting here actively running Alliance. An event behind the scenes has been detected. It's an alert pop-up to notify that back office user. And again, we'll do the very same simple message. And as I said before, I'm going to limit it only to myself. And I'm not interested in sending these types of demonstration messages to everyone on the platform. Okay, and the last thing we're going to have this process flow do is send a message off to our CRM platform. And this is the message that we created a moment ago. Again, I've got a number of different messages in here. It's that simple. So just to recap, I've very quickly, again, without writing code, created a simple process flow that when I create a new service order, I do 3 different actions. If you picture this, I have the ability to say, again, in this particular flow, if I create a service order, it's true, do these things. If it's false, just end or effectively go back to sleep. I have the ability to say, well, if it's false, add additional information and do different actions. Again, you can get very complicated if you want to with this, or again, as the demonstration purposes, stay very simple. Okay, again, a lot of flexibility. So let me activate this process flow, and I'll save it. And what I've done is, again, define the import side of things as a simulation of the IoT platform, created a process flow, defined the actions, defined the outbound message that I'm going to deliver to my CRM platform. I didn't write any code. Again, I want to continue to harp on that. This is all about empowering your business users at the end of the day. Let's come back. I know this says run a test, but it's an easy way for me to bring this text file in. And this is the text file that I showed you a few moments ago. Again, the single line. If everything works, if I've done it all right, when I import, I should get a number of things happen. So hopefully I haven't jinxed myself there. Okay, so the first good thing that happened is I brought in the one row. I only had that one IoT device message. This is the pop-up that I mentioned a few minutes ago that we created. This is the pop-up message that active workflow has generated. Okay, so that's a good thing. Let's come out here to my email. Let's look through a number of different things. So I have this filtered by process flow, so I had all the other emails that I'm not interested in everybody out there seeing. This process flow just came in telling me about a new SO being created. Actually, this is yesterday, so that is not true. I heard my phone buzz, so I know a new one came in. My Outlook here is playing catch up. So let's kick it one more time and see if I come back to this in a second. Let me come back to this one in a second. Okay. Talk about some of the other things that we created, that we talked about. And my screen is, let's close this to reinitialize. A couple other things I want to make sure you see here. One of the things that we definitely, again, the IoT device reported an error. Give this a quick second. This is the service order that message, that inbound message from the IoT device created. Again, so it's not just about generating the information to notify your users and notify the ERP platform. The system also, again, because of how I define that import message or the import information to the template, automatically knows and can interpret this information to go off and create the service order. So if you think about being able to also automate the workflow, the service order gets created automatically. You can automatically push that into our dynamic scheduling engine and automatically reschedule your technicians for that day based on priority of the service order. Again, these are the kinds of powerful things you can do when you think about not just integration, but again, the level of automation that you can accomplish across the platform using the no-low-code toolkit. Again, here's this particular one, this particular service order. So the last couple of things I want to make sure I touch on. Just pull this up. This is that message as well in an outbound queue. If I was connected here to a live ERP platform, this message would not only be here in the queue, but it would have been delivered really through that pipeline, that interconnect pipeline, over to my ERP platform. Like I said, I wasn't going to look at any code, but here's a small code snippet. This is the core of that message, that XML that we created with the two field elements. The company ID, again, this particular customer site, and today. This is when this service order was opened. Okay, again, all these different building blocks. Let me go back just 1 second and double check this last one, and I'm still having some issues with Wi-Fi. So I can't show you that today, but what I can show you, or you have to trust me, my phone did just buzz at me a few minutes ago, and the message, that email message, did come all the way through to me. Okay, so again, kind of a little bit long, but a lot of different pieces there in terms of being able to empower your business users from an integration standpoint. Okay, all these different pieces. So what I kind of wrap it all up and really end this particular presentation. What I want you to think about integration. It isn't just you think past simply breaking down silos of application to application interconnect. I want you to think about, again, it's two layers to me. It's about that interconnect, that pipeline creation, but think about the data that you're going to push back and forth through that pipeline. Think about the ways that consolidating and sharing data helps you and your business, again, from a time reduction standpoint, a money saving standpoint, in terms of reducing errors, process automation, improving some customer satisfaction, things that you can do in terms of response time. Really want to think about those kinds of things. It's how we at Astea really view the power of integration. And hopefully, the quick demonstration there gave you just a little bit of flavor, a little bit of sense around some of the power of the various tools within the integration toolkit that we have. And again, I haven't shown them all. I've only hit a couple of highlights. So I absolutely encourage everyone out there that has integration needs or integration challenges, please, beginning of the presentation, I know we have both Emily and my email addresses. Please feel free to reach out. Be happy to sit down on the phone, do a more demonstration, do a deeper dive demonstration for anyone. We can talk about your specific business needs and your process needs as well. So again, please feel free to reach out with any questions that you have through that vein.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Michael. Actually, while I open it up for some questions, why don't you flip back to that screen? That way everyone can see our emails. You should all have my email address from sending out the invite to the webinar, but this year, if we wanted to reach out to Michael directly, you feel free to do that. At this point, I will open it up for Q&A. We have a few minutes left. There should be a question section in GoToWebinar where you can type in a question. So I'll give everyone a few minutes in case you had a question to ask live of Michael right now. All right, well, Michael must have done a really good job. I'm not getting any questions yet. Either that or you're still already thinking about how this particular tool set could be applied in your organization. Feel free, like Michael said, to reach out to either Michael or myself, Emily Hackman. We're happy to set up a private demonstration for you so you can see for yourself how you could use this new low-code process flow toolkit in your organization. Just a friendly reminder, I do see a lot of our customers on the line today. So this, if you're wondering, this tool was available in our newest upgrade called Alliance Enterprise, or version 15 of our Alliance platform, which we introduced in September 2018. So if you're thinking about upgrading and you're looking for some more flexible power, this is a great reason to do so. So I encourage you to either reach out to one of us or reach out to your project manager to set up a private demo. And with that, I will close it out. Thanks everyone for joining us today. Thank you for participation. We wish you all a great weekend, and stay tuned for the recording. And then also I encourage you to go to astea.com, visit our blog, visit our webinars page. You can find some other helpful on-demand resources as well. Thanks everyone. Have a great day.